Hey everybody, I'm Howard, and this is Otter's Retirement Corner. So, don't be fooled by the title of this video. Should my diagnosis change my Social Security decision? This isn't so much about me, but it's about a general, less specific decision-making process that's important for all of you, specifically those of you who haven't made a Social Security decision yet as to when to start your benefits. So here's my story. It's personal, but this isn't so much about me as it is about everybody and how you go through this process. Some of you may remember I talked about a billing issue, a Medicare billing issue I had when I went to get a scan, a heart calcium scan at a hospital. And the reason I do these scans is I have high cholesterol and I don't want to take statins. So I check the calcium buildup or the plaque buildup in my arteries. And if it's low, I don't need statins. If it's high, I would maybe make the decision to take statins. So I did it about 2.5 years ago. I had a low reading, no reason to start taking statins. So, it was time to update that. I went and had that scan done again. And as I told you, it was $681 that they would charge to Medicare. And if Medicare covered it, fine. But they said there's a chance Medicare doesn't cover it, in which case you'll have to pay the $681. Or instead you can pay us $99 now. So as many of you agreed with, I paid the $99. So anyway, lo and behold, I get the results and the number's virtually the same as it was 2.5 years ago, which, I'm okay. I don't have a buildup of plaque in my arteries, and I'm probably not going to have a heart attack and need statins. However, there was another number on that report that kind of jumped out at me, only because I had no clue what it meant. And it just a simple sentence that said, ectasia of the ascending aorta measuring 3.9 centimeters. Okay, what is that and why'd they put that in there? So I got the call from my doctor a few days after, and they said, hey, your calcium score is low, nothing to worry about, you'll take the test again in another year. And I said, well, what about this number? And, between the time I got the results and the doctor called me, I looked up what this meant. And what it is a bulge or an aneurysm within your ascending aorta, the artery that comes out of the heart. And if it gets too large and if it bursts or dissects, you pretty much are going to die. You can get saved, if you get to a hospital almost immediately, they can crack open your chest and repair it almost, like within an hour, you'll live, but almost all people who have that happen die. And this was concerning to me. So the doctor, when they called me from the doctor's office, they didn't mention it. And I said, well, could you ask the doctor about this aortic aneurysm? And they said, oh, okay, we don't know what you're talking about, but I'll mention it to him. And then I never heard back. And, that's quite disappointing. And it turns out 2.5 years ago when I had a test, they picked this up also. It said 4.1 centimeters, which is a little larger. And I don't know if I didn't notice it, but the doctor never said anything about it. I never looked it up. I only know now because I went back and looked at that report and I saved these things. So I know it's been there at least 2.5 years. But the good news is, because the numbers were rather close, some of them were off because it doesn't shrink. It didn't go from 4.1 to 3.9 centimeters. But the whole point is, I have this condition. I went and saw a cardiologist because, my doctor finally called me back after I made the appointment with a cardiologist and said, yeah, you should probably monitor that, without saying what that is or what that means or how important the condition is. Fortunately, I did a ton of research. I watched all sorts of YouTube videos from Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, the Bakey Institute, all the top heart specialists. And on one hand, it scared me. On the other hand, it made me feel a little comfortable because it's not growing. And that's the important thing. So we'll monitor it. If it gets to 5 centimeters, they do open heart surgery and repair it. And from what I read before I went to the doctor, what the doctor told me is, if you survive the surgery, which, isn't always a slam dunk, there is a rate of people who die from the surgery. If you survive the surgery, your life expectancy is probably what it would have been normally, so, okay. So what does this all mean? Well, my first response, of course, which is, I think, normal, was emotional rather than analytical. It was, oh my goodness, I'm going to die sooner than I thought. I thought my life expectancy is beyond what my break-even point is for taking Social Security at 70. And that's the whole point of this. Now I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to die young, I got to start my Social Security benefits right now, to get the most out of it I possibly can. Kind of a silly thought, but that's what went through my mind. And, it affects my wife. She would get a lower benefit, when I die. If she had already started her benefit and switched to mine, it's lower if I take it at 67, which I am now, than it would be at 70, which is my plan. So, all the studying and research I did kind of calmed me down, and we're going to do some more scans, some more tests. We'll test it again in a year. As long as I'm on this path of it's not getting worse, I'm not changing my Social Security decision. Now, what's that mean to you? It just means you have to be flexible. Once you make a Social Security decision, it's not in stone. It's not, okay, I made this decision, I'm stuck with this, this is what's going to happen, I'm waiting till FRA, full retirement age, I'm waiting till 68, I'm waiting to 70. Every day, if you wanted, you could re-examine the decision. Every week, every month, every quarter, every year. Whenever you want, you could re-examine that decision because things change. Health is probably the biggest one because the math and the science leads you to believe that you'll either die over the break-even age or under the break-even age. So, I relied on math and science and got that emotional decision out of my head and made an analytical, logical decision. Not saying that's easy, but, after you calm down and think about it and have some time, that's what you do. So, if you go to the doctor and, they say, hey, now you've got diabetes and, you've got this sore in your leg and, okay, well, maybe you reassess. Maybe when that happens at 58 and you were planning to take Social Security at 65, now maybe you go at 62. I don't want to be morbid, but, health is a big determining factor. And it's not the only determining factor. Again, taxes, your spousal situation, what you have in savings, those all come into play. But again, the point is be flexible, know when and how to reassess your situation. And it's not always just health. There's financial. If your spouse loses a job and the prospects of getting another one aren't good, or you lose your job and the prospects aren't good, you feel like you're too old to get another job or start over again, reassess and make another decision. And that's the whole point of this. I'm not looking for sympathy. I just thought my story, which is real, would kind of bring home the process that many of you are going to go through. You're going to face what I just faced. And it's not going to be ascending aortic aneurysm. It's going to be, diabetes. It's going to be cancer. It's going to be, a lung issue, heart disease, kidney, something, liver. Something's going to come up, and whether it's you or a relative, and you have to reassess where you are, what you're doing, and what makes sense. And my point here is, yes, you'll go through the emotional part of it first. And I want to put a disclaimer in here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. All right? I'm not giving financial advice, but I'm just telling you what happens and what you may go through. And suggesting, like I did, you reassess. You don't have to stick with a decision. Don't be embarrassed to change a decision. Don't be, like, I didn't figure this out correctly. Things change. Don't be afraid to change. So that's my message. Please give me your comments about this. Let's talk about this. I'm sure some of you have already gone through this already. Some of you who are already retired may have gone through this already. And that information would be interesting for those of us who are coming up on that decision or about to retire or haven't started Social Security yet. So let me have your comments. Please subscribe, like, let me know what's going on. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.